This is S.B. Zamkhedkar. Uh, Now, the purpose of this giving lecture on economics is now presently we are in a different situation which we have never faced. During this, let me thank first my son who has told me, Chaitanya Ramkhedkar. So he is in London at present. He told me, Baba, you give lectures, and this is the type of social work you can do for the student community. Hello. Hello. So now we will be talking about economics syllabus, which is introduced by this is introduced by Maharashtra Board for 2020-21. Now the Maharashtra Board has given the topics to be covered in this syllabus, but in detail the syllabus is not given. But in spite of that, with the help of the topics which are given by the Maharashtra Board, we can start learning economics. So now first of all, let me tell you that the difference between old syllabus and new syllabus, this subject is not for you as a student, because everything is new for you. But from the point of view of teachers, the syllabus is a little bit changed. But in spite of that, let me tell you the difference between old syllabus and new syllabus. The purpose of telling this difference is that whatever is given in the old syllabus is what are the topics covered in new syllabus as per old syllabus, so that you can get from your friends economics textbook which is prescribed by Maharashtra Board. Only 3 topics are introduced in this syllabus. So those topics which are new, for that you can buy that book in the month of June whenever book is published by the Maharashtra Board. Now let us come to the syllabus, present syllabus of 2019-2021. Now topics covered in this syllabus are micro and macroeconomics, utility analysis, demand analysis, elasticity of demand, supply analysis, different types of markets, national income, public finance. So these 8 topics are already introduced by Maharashtra Board in old syllabus. So these 8 topics you can start learning by getting old books from your friends and relatives, and whatever I will be teaching or giving lecture, you can get the help from the textbook, which is with you. We will be with you over syllabus. Now, which are the topics which are introduced, new introduction by the Maharashtra Board? For you, again, I am telling you, this is not new for you. It is everything is new for you. So, for teaching community, the three topics which are introduced in this chapter, in this 12th standard syllabus is index number. It is a statistical chapter which is introduced by the Maharashtra Board. Then foreign trade, and third chapter, money market and capital market. So sort of finance is introduced in the new syllabus, which is very good. And also foreign trade, you should get acquainted with this this topic. So the Maharashtra government has introduced this. So in a global situation, these chapters are required. Now coming to first chapter, and that is macroeconomics. So let us understand the origin of economics. So in a brief I will explain, because this you have already learned a bit of it in your 11th standard syllabus. Now there are two main types of sciences. One is natural science and another is social science. Natural science is one whose laws are universally accepted, and these are the laws which are tested in a laboratory under certain specific conditions. Since these are tested, the validity is applicable all over the world. What are the examples of natural science? The examples are physics, chemistry, mathematics, etc. Now, second type of science is social science. Now, social science is the subject matter of economics, politics, archaeology, psychology. So if you see these examples, you will come to know that the social science is related with the study of human behavior, humankind, how a person will behave in a particular situation, and how he will find out the solution to this will be the study of social science. For example, you take politics. Politics is connected with some people who are coming together for a specific objective. So at present now we are concerned with economics. So economics is also a part of, it is a example of social science. Paul Samuelson has referred economics as queen of social science. It deals with the economic aspect of human behavior, how person will behave in a particular situation. The situation, basic situation for a individual person to be alive. So at that time, how he will behave when his wants are unlimited, his needs are unlimited, and means to satisfy these wants are limited. Means to satisfy means everyone has means which includes money, time. So these are limited in our hands. How he will utilize? A student has a limited time to learn particular syllabus. So he has to plan how he will behave. Now he knows that every year the examination is in the month of February or March. So this time is limited. So he has to act accordingly how he will plan his studies. So his means are limited and his satisfaction of want is to get good marks in his exam. Suppose board says that you give your 12th exam in 10 years. Then no one will study. They will say 10 years are left. So no. So for every need, whatever you need, it has some time. Now, so this is what is economics. Now, this economics, whatever you have learned in 11th standard, now coming to first chapter in your 12th standard syllabus is microeconomics and macro. Micro means MICRO and in macro the spelling is MACRO. Now analysis of microeconomics and macroeconomics is your syllabus for the first chapter in your 12th standard new syllabus. Now microeconomics is used by one Ranger Frisch in 1933. He said that microeconomics is the study of individual person, particular firm, particular society. Now, this microeconomics word is derived from Greek word micros. Micros, MIKROS, which means small. So, the scope and study of microeconomics consists of study of individual persons, particular firm, particular industry. For example, now you have friend in your college. Now you can find out whether that your friend is rich or poor. So if he is bringing costly mobile, every day if he comes by car, then he is richer than you. This is a micro study, microeconomic study. So you are studying behavior of a particular person. Similarly, in case of particular firm means producing unit. He has to decide what to produce, how much to produce. So it is a micro aspect. So microeconomics deals with working of markets where there are large number of buyers and sellers come together for buying and selling. It deals with the individual decision of allocation of resources. And then, so it is related with, now for example, microeconomics, as I told you, is a small tree in a forest, small drop in the ocean. So when you study forest, it becomes macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is MACRO I am talking. I am just giving you the idea of what is the difference between, basic difference between micro and macro. So macroeconomics is also a branch of economics which deals with aggregate, means total behavior of a nation. Now current example I will give you. coronavirus was micro issue, MICRO, for China when it came in the city of Wuhan. But now this has become macro issue because it is spread over all the world. Now, so that is the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. So macroeconomics deals with the total behavior, behavior of total nation as a whole. It is basically an economic, aggregate economics. It makes a study of economic system in general. In particular, it is MICRO. It in general means it is macroeconomic. Now, what are the examples? As I told you, the examples of micro, MICRO, as I told you, the issue of individuals, persons staying in your society, issue of particular firm or particular industry, issue of textile industry, issue of TV industry, TV or computer. In macroeconomics, what you study? You study the problem of total output in a country. Mr. A farmer produces 1000 kg of wheat is micro issue. Total output during the entire nation is the study of microeconomics, MACR. Similarly, employment is macro issue because it is related with the country and entire world. Similarly, national income. So income of individual, how much your neighbor is earning is the study of MICR. What is national income of your country is a macroeconomics. Now, whether a country is rich or poor, as you say, as I told you, whether your friend or neighbor is rich or poor, you can judge from his behavior. Similarly, in the case of national income, you have to, you say that my country, India, is richer and developed than Pakistan or Sri Lanka. On what grounds you say? Then I will say our country is not rich as US and UK. So, national income is, how national income is determined. So, national income is determined on the basis of total production of various goods and services. Actual finished goods, agriculture goods, and type of services which are given by the country to its community. So if you compare the services which are given by UK, US, Japan are far better than us. Similarly, the output produced by these countries is more than ours. So, macroeconomics is study of total output, employment, national income, balance of payment. Balance of payment means how much every country has to pay to the outside world from which they have taken a loan or they have imported the goods and services from other countries. So what is the balance of payment? Then exchange rate. So now exchange rate also is the determinant of macroeconomics because it studies the issues, various issues of a nation which is compared with the all our countries. So now, so microeconomics, we study the pricing of a particular commodity. in macroeconomics, we study the price level in general. So this is the basic difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, this is overall idea I gave you about definition of micro and definition of macroeconomics with certain examples. Now we will come to in microeconomics as well as in macroeconomics, we will study what are the features of microeconomics, then what is the scope and subject matter of microeconomics, and then what is the importance and usefulness of macroeconomics. So microeconomics is covered in these 4 topics, subtopics. This chapter is covering definition and meaning of microeconomics, what are the features of microeconomics, what is the scope of microeconomics, and that is what is the importance or usefulness of microeconomics. Similarly, these 4 topics will be learned by us in macroeconomics. Now we will learn about the features of microeconomics. So first point, which is already covered by us in the definition, and that is it studies individual unit, individual person. Unit consists of individual person, particular firm, etc. So microeconomics is concerned with the study of economic behavior of individual units like households, as I told you, firms, individual consumer. So how consumer will behave when his demand is more than when his demand is he has to compare his demand with his price for a particular product which he is going to buy. So how he will behave will be the study of your microeconomics. So it studies individual units. Now second point covered feature of microeconomics is it studies product pricing. Product pricing means deciding the price of a particular commodity. Now price is decided by individual producer. So with the help of land, labor, capital and organization, he will try to produce something and he will find out what is the cost of the product. And in that cost, he will add his some profit, and then he will say, my selling price is X. So he will bring his product in the market and he will say that this is the market price which I want to sell. But this will not help because product pricing is decided by the forces of market demand and supply. What is demand? So if demand is, suppose he has produced 10 units of X product and that is his supply. But if there is no demand, so he will have to reduce his price. In other words, what I want to explain you that prices of commodities are determined on the basis of market demand and market supply. Now this is the second point which I have told you. The third feature of microeconomics is factor pricing. Factor pricing means price which is paid by or payable by the producer to the factors of production. Now what is factors of production? a producer has to collect certain factors of production like land, labor, and capital. He has to bring together, and then his organization, or he has to manage organization also, because as the business expands, it is not possible for him to do the business alone. So land, labor, capital, and organization are called factors of production. So with the help of these factors of production, he produces the goods. So land is supplied or taken by producer from landowner. He takes the work from his workers or staff, and he takes loan from the financial institution for his business. For these three factors, he has to pay some price, and that price is called factor pricing. So factor pricing, for land he has to pay rent, labor he has to pay wages or salary, and for capital he has to pay interest. So these are the prices which factor owners get, and with the help of these he purchases the goods which is produced by the producer. So factor pricing means deciding the price and paying the price to the factor owner. So this is individually decided by the producer. So that is why it is a feature of microeconomics. So with the help of these factors of production, land, labor, capital, he has to decide how much price he has to pay to the landowner, that is rent, workers' wages, and capital interest he has to pay. So factor pricing is another feature of microeconomics. Now coming to next feature is this microeconomic study uses slicing method. Slicing, S-L-I-C-I-N-G. Slicing method means, the bread is having different slices. So if you consider bread as a whole country, then whole country is a problem of MS here, macro. The slicing of that bread becomes the issue or study of microeconomics. So using slicing method means it is in-depth study of economic unit. Microeconomics does the in-depth study of economic unit. It divides or slices the economy into smaller units such as individual, one family, a firm, or industry. So in other words, microeconomics uses slicing method for its study. Now, next point of your study is partial equilibrium. Now, what is equilibrium? So, equilibrium means coming to a particular point. In economics, price is determined by intersection of demand and supply. So, demand and supply, where it intersects, that will be the price decided by buyer and seller. For example, suppose you go in the market, you say that how much is a dozen a mango? So he will say it's 500 per dozen. Then he will say no, you give me it for 400. Then he will say no, take it for 450. So this 450 is your equilibrium. 450 is decided price, which is called equilibrium in economics. So now microeconomics uses partial equilibrium analysis. It is a technique used by microeconomics to study the equilibrium position of individual firm or industry or a market. But it is partial analysis because it is assumed. There are certain assumptions which are assumed by the economist while studying microeconomics. For example, there are various laws in economics which you will be studying in future. That is law of demand, law of supply. Now, law of demand is what law of demand says. Law of demand says that other conditions remaining same, more will be demanded at a less price. Means if price falls, demand will rise. If price rises, demand will fall. This is the natural thing what we do. When prices are going up, we will buy less. But the law says that other conditions remaining same, other conditions remaining constant. What it means? It means law of demand says that if we consider price, then this law is applicable. It means what? Means in demand can go up because of many factors other than price. For example, there is increase in population. Now I am staying in Borivali. Now I came here in 1980. So at that time, population was very less. There were only 15-20 buildings. Now there is one milk seller who used to sell 100 liters of milk a day in 1980. But as on today, at that time the price was 20 rupees per liter. So now, at present, here there are 100 buildings where he is selling 5,000 liters a day, and even though the price is about 58 to 60 rupees. So, population is also factor which will affect demand. So, other than population, your income, your technology, other things also affect the demand. So, we say that demand is affecting by many factors other than price. So, demand, law of demand or microeconomics. So, study of demand, study of some supply is also study of micro. So, in your law of demand, law of supply, we have to assume certain things, and if we assume those things constant, remaining unchanged, then law can be proved. And that is why economics is social science, because it is not exact science. It is not exact science because human behavior will change according to the situation and conditions in which he is staying. Now, so one of the features, coming back to your feature, now it is a partial equilibrium analysis on the basis of which microeconomics is studied. Now, as I told you, next point, it is a extension of your partial equilibrium, that microeconomics is based on certain assumptions. So, as I told you, again I am telling. So, see, point is made different for the purpose of small change in what is partial equilibrium analysis and what is microeconomics based on assumptions. So same thing I want to tell you that the laws are based on certain assumptions, and that is also one of the point or one of the feature of economics. Now next is which also we have already covered is that it is a microscopic approach. So microeconomics is a study of microscopic. It splits into economy into small individuals. That is already we have covered. The next point is covered in the feature is that microeconomics is analyzing the allocation of resources efficiently. So it is to be used whatever factors of productions which are available with him are to be used in a better way so that he can get maximum satisfaction, maximum production for the welfare of the society. So analysis of resources allocation and economic efficiency is the point of feature. The study of microeconomics helps to maximize economic welfare. This is because microeconomics enables allocation of resources, efficient allocation of resources of goods and services, distribution of goods and services to the community as a whole. So the efficient production and distribution of goods and services helps in maximizing welfare of consumers and producers. But even though we have seen all these features, microeconomics has next point is it has limited scope because it is confined to very limited part of your nation, because it studies separately, separation of study of individual, so it is not as a whole. So it has limited scope for analyzing or study of microeconomics or economics. So it does not deal with what? So it does not deal with the points or factors which are covered by macroeconomics. So that is one of the limited capacity. So for example, for the sake of understanding this feature, we can say that microeconomics, MI0, is not covering issues like output, national income, inflation, unemployment, etc. So this is for the sake of feature what we are talking about. So it is a fact that microeconomics has limited scope. That's all. But while writing in your exam, suppose question comes, write down what are the features of microeconomics. So this point you have to cover in your answer. Now again, next point is also related with the analysis of it. Analyzes the market structure. In macroeconomics, prices and quantities are determined under a different market situation as perfect competition, monopoly market, oligopoly, monopolistic competition. Now, all these are very new words for you. What is perfect competition? So, in brief, I will tell you. So, perfect competition is a situation where there are buyers and sellers who come together for buying and selling of goods. So, under perfect competition, the perfect competition, let me tell you again clearly that perfect competition market is not in existence today. It was 100 years back, 100 years back, when the economy was running on a very small scale. Perfect competition was in existence. I will not talk much about it because we have to learn these forms of market in chapter 6 of your syllabus. Now, monopoly means, mono means one, poly means seller. When there is one seller, how a consumer will behave. For example, now railway has monopoly. Formerly, Mahanagar Telephone was having monopoly. So in that situation, buyer has to pay whatever charges were. So for example, in case of railway, when fare is decided by railway authorities, you have to pay for that. Without that, you can't go ahead. So these are the various situation, market situation. So microeconomics analyzes of market structure in short. Now, Marshall has said, last point I'm explaining, Dr. Marshall, economist, use of marginalism principle. Now, marginalism principle means what? Marginal means change brought about in total by an additional unit. For example, what is margin? Now, your passing marks are 35. And if you get 40 marks, you say that I have just passed on margin. So, whatever is additional in your present situation, determination of particular thing is called marginal unit. Or, so if you produce 1000 and it comes to 1000 or 100, then 100 is your margin. So Marshall says that marginal means change brought about in total by an additional unit. That is marginal unit. All important decisions are taken at the margin. So marginalism, a principle used by Dr. Marshall, became an important and indispensable tool of microanalysis. So we have learned so far about 11 points of features of microeconomics. Now, so far we have learned what is the meaning of micro, MICRO, how the word micro emerged in the economics, how the word has come into the picture. Then we saw who has introduced in which year. I am just revising what we have done in brief. Then what is the basic difference between micro and macro? That also I have given the example of coronavirus. Now, then we have learned what is the field, which are the fields of coverage of your microeconomics and macroeconomics. Then we saw features of microeconomics. Now we will come to the conclusion by we'll end our session today by now. Today I will explain last point, and that is scope and subject matter of microeconomics, and what are the importance and usefulness of microeconomics. That will be studying day after tomorrow, because I will be delivering lecture on accounts tomorrow at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. So day after tomorrow, for economics, we will meet again at 10 o'clock. Now, we will be, now I will be explaining you what is the scope and subject matter of economics. Fundamentally, microeconomics cover following areas. It's a theory of value or product pricing. So this is actually a feature of your micro. But when you learn, if the question comes, now in previous exams, there was one question, 2 marks question or 4 marks question. Now this year, what is the question pattern is still to come. So that we can study afterwards. But at present, whatever I am teaching you is the topic main headings which are given by the Maharashtra Board syllabus. But if we, by now I am teaching since 1980. So with my small experience and knowledge, I am explaining you whatever I have with me, whatever knowledge is with me. But after textbook comes, we can see further any additional information is given or not. That is a different matter. Now, coming back to your scope and subject matter of microeconomics. So, it covers theory of value or product pricing. So, it explains how the relative prices of goods like wheat, rice, motor car, mobile, and other commodities are decided. The determination of price by the individual producer is the scope of microeconomics. Price of commodities depends upon forces of demand and supply, as I already told you. Further, the demand depends upon likes and dislikes of consumers, which is again behavior of consumer. So it is called consumer's behavior. On the other hand, supply depends upon cost of production and behavior of firm and industry in market. So, scope and subject matter of microeconomics is covering product pricing. So, we are explaining these points under the heading scope and subject matter. This feature is already discussed by us. Second point is theory of factor prices. It explains how the price, so scope, again scope. This point is covered in scope. It explains how the prices of different factors of production is determined. The theory of distribution explains how rent is decided by use of land, wages for labor, interest for capital, and profit for organizer. Third scope is theory of economic welfare. It deals with how efficiently resources of the country are allocated. It deals with how efficiently resources of the country are allocated and whether it has resulted into economic welfare or not. Welfare of the society. There are 3 types of economic efficiencies. Efficiency in production, efficiency in consumption, and efficiency in direction of production. So these 3 points are to be studied under the heading theory of economic welfare. In short, the subject matter of microeconomics tries to examine the following questions. What to produce by producer? He has to decide how much to produce, he has to decide. He can't produce whichever is not required. Then again he has to decide how to produce. And after the production, and who will produce? Society has to decide who will produce. And after the answer to these questions, then comes the question of distribution. How the goods and services are to be will be distributed among the society for the benefit of the people without any waste is the study of microeconomics. Now, before I conclude, let me tell you that my son, who is staying in London, he told me 2 days before, Baba, why can't you help the country by giving your knowledge to the student community? So I am very much thankful to my son, and now I am concluding my lecture. We will meet for economics day after tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and tomorrow it will be accounts lecture at 10 a.m. Bye. बंद करायचं.